Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
Irish Radio, I'm Jerry Byrne. Since the pandemic hit and all the rest of it, I've been speaking to the great and the good and the talented, to people who've been many, many moons in the industry, to people starting out in music. And I'm delighted to say hello to Alas, who is the daughter of one of the great legends and talents of Irish country music for many years. The daughter of the one and only Jimmy Buckley. I'm delighted to say hello to Claudia Buckley. Claudia, how are you?
I'm great, Jay. Thanks for having me on the show. How are you keeping yourself?
Not too bad at all, not too bad. Surviving through it all as best one can, I suppose.
Yeah, so look, I know it's a hard time for everybody right now, but I suppose, what's getting us all through is listening to radio and listening to the music on radio. It gives people such a lift during this time, so that's definitely what's helping me through. So fair play to you for, coming on and spreading positivity about it still. It gives people an awful lift from day to day. So
well, indeed, yes, and I think we've all got to be positive about the whole situation. We will come out of it the other side.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the only way to think of it. Yourself right now, we're just waiting for, I suppose, a little bit of guidance and a little bit of, a heads up on when we can get the date and the go ahead to, go back out on the road again. I suppose the way that we're looking at it is our gear is there, our sound equipment is there, our musicians are there, our lighting staff, our sound engineers, everyone is there, our van is there waiting to go. All we are waiting on is the A-OK to go and get back on the road. But look, it'll come in time and it'll come whenever it's safe to do so, and we're raring to go, So look, all we have to do is sit tight now and stay positive about the whole thing.
Indeed, exactly. Listen, it's kind of not surprising in a way that you've gone into music in some way, because you must have been literally born and reared on it with your dad. Being Jimmy Buckley.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, definitely. I suppose from a very, very early age in our house, predominantly the music that I would have listened to and I got a real love for as a child was country music, and I didn't even realise at the time that it was country music. I just knew it was the music that we listened to and the music that we played. And I suppose I got a real love and a real taste for it at a very young age. And, growing up, obviously with my dad being Jimmy Buckley, I would toddle along with him. I'd come home from school on a Friday evening and I'd just throw the bag in the corner and I'd say, Dad, where are you going this weekend? And he'd say, well, do you want to come with me? And sure, I'd be 2 seconds is all he'd have to give me, and I'd be in the back of the car with him, and we'd be down the road to Donegal or wherever he'd be playing. And I suppose that's how I learned, was standing at the side of the stage and watching his every move and watching his, interactions with the audience and with the musicians, and that, learning about stage presence and so on and so forth. So I suppose I knew from a very young age it was definitely what I wanted to do. I just wasn't sure how to go about it, so I just, I kind of took my time with it, and things started to fall into place as I got a little bit older. So, I'm still very relatively new on the scene, as I was saying to you earlier on when we were chatting. I'm only, I suppose, 2 years. I'm really trying to get into this now, and I know that some people have to go 22 years before they make a stab at it, really. But look, I'm going to try my best and see where I go with it. But it's been all positive so far. I've gained a lovely following. I've met the most amazing people. My dad's fans have taken to me so kindly, and they really like what I do, and that's what keeps me going and spurs me on to do even more. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very lucky, but I love what I do. So.
Indeed, it is. It is a tremendous start. To have been around, your dad, to have seen him perform, to be in the venues, and to learn from a master like that, it's pretty good. It really is. It's bound to be a major benefit to you.
Absolutely, and not a day goes by that I don't feel very lucky for that. I never ever take it for granted. I've learned firsthand the trade. I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs. I've seen, all the pitfalls and stuff that come along with it. But I suppose the advantage that I have that is probably the most strong advantage is that I'm not going into this extremely naive. I know what's ahead of me. I know how hard that I have to work, but I'm willing to do that because I suppose, myself and Dad would have had conversations as I've been getting into this, and he'd sit me down and he'd say, are you sure this is going to be very tough? This is going to be very hard at times. It's going to break your heart. And I said, look, when you love something, you kind of just make it work, don't you? So nothing else would do me. This is all I wanted to do. So I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna make it work until I get where I want to go.
Yeah, that is excellent. And you've the one thing about it is that you've inherited from your dad is an incredible talent, and you've got a great voice. You really do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh no, look, everybody says that we sing so similarly, and I think the reason for that is because when we were younger, my mom would play his CDs all the time in the house, and she'd play it in the car, dropping us to school and picking us from school. And I suppose subconsciously I just learned to sing that way. We phrase things very similarly, our harmonies are very, very tight when we sing together. And look, I'm very, very proud of my dad, and I'm very proud to have inherited his talent, you know what I mean? So yes, I'm very, very lucky in that respect.
Indeed so. I mean, you were actually doing some concerts with your dad as well.
We were indeed, yes. So we started our first concert tour last year, actually. Dad had he'd only been to England once previously, and he had gone just on his own with his band, and he said, I'd really, really, really love for you to come the next time. And sure, I was only bursting to go, so I said, of course. So we sat down and we kind of compiled our favourite songs, our favourite duets, all the greats, Tammy and George duets and stuff like that. And we put it together in a show, and people really loved our banter back and forth and the crack we would be having with each other on stage. And then when we start to sing, there's just this really special thing that happens. It's like a connection you don't really have with anyone else. When you're singing with someone in your family, it's a very, very special thing, and I really treasured it. And we were meant to go back to England and indeed Scotland in April and May of just gone, but obviously because of everything going on with the pandemic, that has been put off until next year. But look, we can't wait to go back. Similarly, I was touring with Nathan Carter as his special guest, and we were going up until March, and everything had been put off also. But look, either way, we will get back when things are going again. Everything will be rescheduled. We're just waiting to know when that is going to be. But whenever it is, we'll be ready. That's the main thing.
Indeed, well, that is the main thing, and you're just one of many indeed who've had tours cancelled, and your tour was actually in the making, and it unfortunately things just didn't happen. There was so many more people who had tours well organised and everything, and then suddenly overnight they were gone.
Yeah. Look, I know we're not alone in this. It's a very devastating thing that has happened to all of the musicians and singers in the industry. We were the first to go. We would be the last to get back. But look, we've accepted that by now, I suppose. It's been devastating, I suppose, to the families of musicians and singers, because it was a little bit easier when we were all in lockdown here in Ireland and nobody was working at all, or they were working from home. And then slowly, as restrictions started to lift and people indeed returned to work again, it became a little bit harder, because we realised then that, okay, the whole world is returning to normal except us. But look, we're doing what we can with it. We're at home, we're writing, we're putting, different programs and songs together, because when we do return, we're not sure under what circumstance, whether we'll be able to return with a full band, or whether we'll have to go out on our own for a little while. We're not sure, so we're just trying to think of every circumstance that it could be, and trying to prepare for all of them. So that's kind of what we're filling up our time with and stuff like that. And we're learning up our instruments a little bit more. We're singing together all of the time. We're just trying to keep keep the music going, you know, because it's like anything. When you don't do anything for a while, you feel a little bit out of practice. So I suppose for Dad and I, it's important that we, you know, we keep going every day and do a little bit every day. It's good for our heads, and I'm sure all of, you know, any other people I've talked to in the business while we've been off, it's the same. You know, they're just trying to do their bit at home and, you know, keep themselves happy that way. Because, but don't get me wrong, if we have our moments when we sing something that we would have sang on tour before, and it, you know, we have a little moment where it makes us sad because we're like, oh, we miss doing this in front of everybody, you know, or we miss the reaction from the audience, or we miss having the crack with the lads on stage behind us, you know. That's the part that we miss the most. But you just have to keep saying to yourself that it's going to come back, and when it comes back, we'll be stronger than ever, and, you know, people will have a new lease of life for us. Musicians will have a new lease of life. Performers will have a new lease of life, and will appreciate it even more so than we did before. And God, I know one thing I keep saying is I'll never complain about being tired after a long night on the road. I'll stay going every night after this if I have to, you know. But look, we'll be fine. We will be fine. It'll just take a little bit longer.
Exactly. That is the thing. Did you do any, live streaming, like, for example, Facebook Lives or anything like that since the lockdown, Claudia?
We've done a little bit here and there. I suppose we went on live with, I suppose we did a little bit live with Highland Radio, David James, you know, another younger singer on the scene over here. Went on and did a little bit with him. Me and Dad sat down and we did a few songs on the guitar, stuff like that here and there. To be honest, we wouldn't really be massive on doing that kind of stuff ourselves without our band, and, you know, I suppose we just would like to put ourselves across in the, you know, the best way possible. But don't get me wrong, there's days we sit down and all we do is play and mess around with the guitar. But I know myself in December I'm doing a show in the University Concert Hall in Limerick that I think will be there'll be 100 people in the audience, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be streamed live online, and the tickets for that are going to go on sale in the next week or two. So hopefully that's streamed live, and that'll be something for people to look forward to. I'm going to be on stage doing all my own favourite country favourites and country classics, ones I do already, but it'll be more stripped back, kind of an acoustic setting and vibe. I'm going to have 2 musicians on with me, and there'll be lovely harmonies, and it'll just be very laid back and intimate. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that people will be able to enjoy that from the comforts of their own home as well.
Right, that's excellent. And did you say that is going to be streamed as well, is it? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that sounds, that really does sound good, and sounds like something that can really work in the current restrictions and with the current situation with the pandemic around. It's certainly positive stuff.
Oh, well, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. We're bursting for a gig, so anything that we get, we're going to take. That kind of way. So, because all we want to do, we're performers at the end of the day. All we want to do is, stand out on stage with our mics and tell stories and sing songs that tell stories and make people laugh and make people cry. That's what we do, and God, I can't put it into words, really, to be honest, how much we miss that and how much I miss that. But look, we will be fine and we'll get there. But even doing the likes of that now in December, it's going to be on the 4th of December in the University Concert Hall in Limerick, and tickets are going to go on sale in the next week or two. And I'm just so looking forward to it, because I think it'll give people a sense of what we used to do, and a sense of what's to come as well. And if that's if doing stuff from a restricted audience is the way forward for the minute, well then that's what we're going to do. We just have to roll in with what everybody else is doing and what we have to do, and as long as we get to stand there and sing, sure, we'd sing out on the side of the road. We don't mind at this stage, we'll take whatever we get.
Indeed, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, the positive, the positive idea and the right way to be thinking on it. Claudia, listen, it's lovely to catch up with you. It really is. Listen, I wish yourself and your dad and your whole family all the very best. And listen, stay safe and well. And wishing you loads of success for the future. And no doubt, when it's safe, you shall be in action again.
Oh, look at Jerry. Thanks very much for having me on the show and taking the time to to speak to me, and I suppose raise a little bit of awareness around what's going on, and just to let people know that we will be back, and when we can get back, by God, be ready for us, because we're going to put on a great show.